fishing video. Today's video is going to be a bit of a Q&A, I think, today, because I've had a few questions from some people on the videos and on my website, and that have emailed me and asked questions. But first of all, right, I have to say this, look, I am not the greatest. This is only my opinion. I mean, I'm lucky enough to fish with someone who is bloody good at it, but I wouldn't say I was an expert, but I've got quite a lot of experience with this is what I've learned, so please don't take it the wrong way. Now, one of the first things that I wanted to just clarify, because this is quite important, because I've done this loads of times. I've talked about things and then I've gone away after I finished the video and I thought, I didn't fucking say that, I didn't tell them that. Jesus, and I feel guilty about it because I don't want anybody wasting any money. And here's one of the things. When I talked about the line the other day, I was saying that my dilemma, back again doing the line thing. Anyway, my dilemma was I had 120 meters of braid to put on the thingy bob. So obviously I want to use all of that 120 meters. Whereas in the past, I failed to say this, I've wound backing line on. Easy, just wind the backing line on a bit and then wind the braid up to the edge of the thing. But Bob Drunker, you're all done. But mistake I made when I used to do that was that I'd cast my line out and think, fucking hell, I can see my backing line. I've cast out about 60 yards, but I can see my backing line. Now the problem is, if you've got a bloody big bass straight away and you've cast out quite a long way, you're going to be on that nylon. Now, if you've tied a big knot, a big bloody, fucking FG knot or whatever, and that you're not going to, that's going to be clanking on the thing. You've got to make sure you've got enough braid on the bloody spool. Anyway, that's more important. I know with 120 metres, I'm not going to put a load of backing line on there to wind my new braid on and then find I've got 30 yards of braid I didn't need to put. Well, that's a waste of money, isn't it? That's total waste of money. You want to know you've got enough braid on there to start with. I mean, you could come right out with the backing line and just have, but that wouldn't really be a good idea because you've got that bloody knot. You don't want that knot catching on the line for. So that's what problem I had. Some of the times I would actually go past my backing line. If I put a rocket bait on it, it'd go little lure, weighs a ton, sinks to the bottom. It goes miles. I would actually go past my braid onto nylon. I mean, I only use like a nylon. But here, on that one, look, nylon. And to me, that's probably a little bit too much. Maybe. I'm not going to put braid on a minute because that reel's buggered anyway. I've already taken it to bits and taken bits off of it. So really, that's another thing. Just make sure that, you're sensible about it. Don't just, that's how I do it anyway. That's the first question out of the way. Thank you. Right, the next question. Right, again, this is my opinion. The next question is, right, what are the best bass lures for night fishing? Jesus. Now, my answer to that is, what are the best lures for night fishing? Because really, I don't know. I mean, because the problem is, it's a bit like fly fishing. There isn't no best lure as far as I'm concerned. It depends. It's whatever works on the night. You can't just say, if that was the case, I'd just take one lure with me. Everything makes a difference. The sky, how clear it is, how windy it is, how much tide run there is, what the fish are feeding on. Are there any fish actually there? I mean, you could have the greatest bloody golden lure in the world. If there ain't no fish there, guess what? You ain't going to catch fuck all, are you? So, really, I would say the answer to that question would be, if you're new, it's just to keep going, because, knowledge is everything. You can't just tell someone what to use and think that they're going to go down and bloody catch something. You've actually got to go out and do some hard work and test these things out and try things and see what works and what doesn't. Or maybe some people go into it all scientifically and then write down every single thing about the wind and everything. I personally not do that. I just like fishing. I just like going and fishing and catching. It's not always great. It's blanked loads and loads of times. I've used lures that have caught hundreds of things. Like I say, you don't actually know. There's no fish there. You ain't going to catch anything anyway. But for anybody who's new and wants to learn, I would say my best advice for you is what's the best lure at night time. It's just to keep going and just keep trying. Have a good selection of lures in the start, so you've at least got somewhere else to go. And then none of them work, move somewhere else. That's what we do. That's what we do nearly all of the time. So it's a little bit of hard work. It's no free lunch. You've got to work for it and do your own work. Get a good selection of lures and then see what works at night. I personally like white lures at night. But having saying that, my best ever session was not on a white lure. It was on the Daiwa Shoreline Shiner. This little bastard. Now, I've replaced the hooks now. I'd snapped 2 of them off because we wasn't putting our lights on at all that night. And the reason why is, one, we never shine our lights straight into the water anyway. You're going to frighten the fish. Can you imagine walking home? Can you imagine walking home in the pitch black and all of a sudden a couple of lights appear from the sky? You're going to think, what the bloody hell's that? You're probably going to do a run. You're probably going to think you get abducted by aliens or something. Anyway, that's my theory about the bass. They're going to think the same. Once the light suddenly comes on when they've come in close to feed, they're going to think, what the bloody hell's that? Even talking, it's going to make a difference. But that has been my best session, and that is not a white lure, is it? Definitely not. But that bloody killer, I'd definitely get one of them. If you want a night lure, that was my best ever one I've ever had. But I've had white lures have been normally what has been the best lures for me at night time, but never caught as many as what I have in that one. So that's that out of the way. Just keep going until you find the fish. That's what you can do. Every night, it's never going to be the same. Sometimes you catch them, sometimes you don't. It's just the way it is. Tangent again about fishing, about lures and using the right lures. That night when I said about when I used the Shoreline Shiner the bit before, what I've just been talking about, I said that we weren't putting our lights on. Now the reason why that night especially, that was my best ever session. I had 20 bass, not the greatest, but to me that was brilliant. I've had 10s, 15s, but 20 was my best. Anyway, what had happened was I was fishing obviously with the Bassman. It was a blinding night, but the night before, the Bassman was fishing in his little spot that he's covered. Now other people do know about it now, and I because I always used to think, what's the matter? If it's free sea, anybody can fish anywhere. But when you've sussed it all out, because like I said, it can be bloody hard work finding these little spots. And like, if this one little spot that we fished, you look at it, you think, well, what's the difference between 200 yards that way or 200 yards that way? But the thing is, this little spot, there's a little bit of commotion out there with the way the tide hits this bit of the rocks out there, and there's a bit of disturbance as the tide comes, which the bass obviously does. That doesn't mean to say that. Definitely doesn't mean to say that. I fished at this one place and blanked loads of times, but I have also on another occasion, is what I say about finding the fish. It's been bloody brilliant. Like this night, my best ever, and I didn't even have to wade in the water. Fucking back off the net. Anyway, getting back to the light situation, the night before, the Bassman was he was in the water this night. He was standing in there, obviously he'd done something, and all of a sudden he see 2 people coming along the beach. Sure enough, 2 o'clock in the morning, they were coming fishing. Now, he had been absolutely nailing it that night. He said the minute they started coming in the water with their lights on, casting out, they buggered it up. He never caught nothing. The fish had buggered off. Now, the next night, when I'm fishing with him, we started fishing away. Sure enough, got to about 2 o'clock in the morning. It was great. I couldn't believe it. It was one after the other. Looked up the other end of the thingy, Bob, and there's about 6 lights started coming down. 6 lights. Oh my God! They've obviously someone said something. Maybe the geezers, I don't know, whatever. And I can't think. Well, there was 6 lights anyway. They had their lights on. We knew they were there, but Bassman said, whatever you do, don't turn your light on. That's how I snapped my hooks on the shoreline shiner, because the bass were taking it right down. But whether they caught anything or not, but they had their lights on all the time, and I bloody guarantee that they would not. I don't think they'd have been catching anything. They were in the wrong place for a start. It wasn't where the money. They might have done, but to me, that was why we don't put our lights on. When we like use the luminous lures, we don't shine it out right into the sea where we're fishing. We always turn our backs and do it like as discreetly as possible. Really important. If you're using them lures like the Tacklehouse Pearl Tacklehouse Feed Shallow, that's got a loom strip, and also that zonk, but you're probably never going to get hold of that thing anyway. They just can't get it. They don't even recognise it in Google, and that's bloody saying something. So that's why we never put our lights on. Not for the fish, but also other people seeing you. When it's been like that, it's just the way it is. Question. This one is what is the best time of the tide to fish? Now this is a pretty good one. I mean, it depends wherever you're fishing. It could be different where you are, but we found certain places fish better on the ebb when the tide's going out. Low tide, for me, it doesn't matter where we fish. Bang on low tide when there's nothing, it's rubbish. It's rubbish. I cannot think many times, that we've not, there's been no fish caught at low tide at all. No tide, no fish. That's. I'm not saying that's the same everywhere in the country. It could be completely different. Cornwall, Pembrokeshire, Isle of Wight, Guernsey, it could be different. For me, I found it shit, and. Sometimes we can go for hours all the way up to low tide and it's crap. And now I've had enough by then. But having saying that, we thought, just give it another hour. Once them old boats start turning round again in the tide, then they're facing completely the opposite direction. All of a sudden, it fucking kicks off. They just appear from nowhere. Not all the time. That's what I say about finding the fish. Sometimes being patient. You know what I mean? There's no rhyme or reason. High tides. Now we normally find bang on high tide. It's the same. Nothing, because there's no tide. The bass, I think, like the tide. But I always find it's normally better when it's just after high tide on the drop. I normally find that's the most productive time. In fact, bait fishing, I've had my biggest 2 fish ever was when the tide miles past high tide, about an hour and a half, 2 hours past high tide. All of a sudden, I couldn't even turn around and bait up. The minute I turned my back round, my rod was hanging off the bloody railings, hanging off the rod stand. And that's how I caught the 11-pounder like that. I know it's not lure fishing, but that's because the reason why we're bait fishing is because obviously the water's been shit for so long. It was easterly wind. We're never going to have clear water, but never on high tide. Never on low tide for us. Please let me know below if it's different where you come from. Please, I really want to know. It's interesting. Never catch anything. High tide, low tide, nothing. Right, next question. This is going to be the last question in this little series. I mean, there's bloody loads of questions that people answer. But I think most of it is all about just keep going and just keep trying, keep experimenting. You're going to get, if you've got that sort of terrain, rocks or whatever, just keep practicing. That's answers the what tides, lures, everything. All just keep going. Practice makes perfect. Same in any dilemma. Guitar, whatever it is. I was just going to show you my guitar then, but here it is, guitar. Look, playing bloody donkey shit. I'm not going to play now though. Right, the last question was about safety. Now, this is a bloody big one because to me this is common sense. But having said that, I've been watching a few fishing videos while I've been on the fucking treadmill trying to do something all the time is sitting at home, and I'm watching them and they're fishing off these most savage rocks, like not seaweedy rocks, great big rocks, but the water is smashing into these rocks at the bottom. They're going, oh well, of course I'm not going to go down there because, well, of course you don't want to be anywhere near that thingy. Well, now my question is, so anyway, the bloke, the fisher, I'm not going to mention anybody who's fishing or anything, but the bloke is catching little bass like this. Now, to me, what would happen if all of a sudden you caught a fucking 10-pounder? How the hell are you going to get it? You're not going to climb down them rocks. Now, to me, that wouldn't be a very efficient place to fish. What's the point if you can't get the bloody things in? I don't get it. Now, I would think that'd be a dangerous place to fish. I personally wouldn't want to fish there anyway. I don't like fishing when it's mega rough. I'd rather stay at bloody home. I like it when it's nice and comfortable. As for safety, if you're fishing on the rocks or if you're wading in the water, I don't actually like it. Even though we do it, I don't like it because I've fallen over a couple of times. You just can't put your hands. You can't put your hands in. I'm not about when it's knee height. I'm on about when it's up here. I mean, I've walked along a groin. It's been as clear as anything. The only thing I didn't have that day was sunglasses. Sure enough, I'm looking around. It's just a carry. I walk a little bit further and I stepped off a ledge, right, and it went up to here. But not only did it fucking frighten the life out of me because it just caught me unawares, I had a brand new iPhone in my pocket, okay, 600 quid. Also, I had my lead lenser. Lead light, completely forgotten. I was so busy fucking stamping on my feet trying to get next to got out in one hand, trying to keep my rod out the bloody water. So that's one reason why. And the other times I've just slipped over on the rocks, but I had pretty good boots on as well. I mean, I'd rather have my feet firmly on dry land, to be honest, or maybe in the water a little bit. But sometimes where we fish, we go that extra mile. Now, I wouldn't say I definitely wouldn't do that. I definitely wouldn't do it if I was fishing on my own. Definitely not. I wouldn't. I'd rather wait till the tide comes in and fish a high tide mark. I actually prefer that. I love standing off the bloody prom and going try and fishing with the bass. Do you know what I mean? It's not normally as productive, but you know, at least you've got your feet. I just want to catch fish, basically. That's my thing. So as far as safety concerned, what's another thing? Right, the Bassman, he's got an IMA jacket that's actually a life jacket. Now, if I was fishing anywhere like I've seen on these videos, I would definitely, even though I'm, you know, anything risk you fell off them rocks and fell into that water, you're gonna be in trouble. I wouldn't risk it. If you got a 10-pound bass there, you're never gonna land it. Why are they fishing there? Why? There's another bloke up north. I can't remember what his channel's called. Something. Oh, I can't remember. What is it? Anyway, it's the same. Well, the cliff. He climbs down a mega fucking great cliff to get to rocks. It's exactly the same. He's about 20 feet above the water, and the bloody water's smashing against the rocks. Now, how the hell, if you caught anything decent, are you going to get down there? To me, too dangerous. It's not worth taking any risks. So, my advice would be, always go with somebody. At night time, always with somebody. Always have your mobile phone, decent pair of shoes, proper waders, maybe a life jacket. I think it's worth it. It's better to be safe than sorry. Not the a couple of hairy little moments, but luckily for me, I wasn't out my depth. But there are some places, and other places in the country, it's not the same. So some of the gullies you could be fishing on a rock, and there could be a gully 10-foot drop next to you. I don't know. I'm only going by what I've seen on YouTube around our way. I know it's pretty much all right, as long as you don't go too far. Anyway, that's a little bit. Do your own work on that one. I don't want to advise anybody on safety. You know, it's common sense. Right then, that's the I think that's the end of that video. Now, I'm going to be honest. That's probably the last video I'm going to do like this for a while, until I'm actually back fishing, because I actually run out of things to say, to be honest. And you know, I love making them in a way. I might not always know what I'm talking about. Like I say, I'm not the greatest lure fisherman in the world. Just say if my experience, and like that last question about the safety, you know, it's just better. It's common sense. Just don't take any risk, for Christ's sake. Anyway. Thanks for watching my videos. I've enjoyed talking to you about it. I want to hear more comments, so your point of view, especially about some of the topics we talked about. Lures, I mean, great. I'd love to hear about lures. I mean, you know, you might have killer lures that work that you swear by, and that's what it's all about. We're helping each other out, but not giving away your fishing spots. See you later.